This is the 31st Lap Podcast, recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now, your hosts, Rich Post, John Bonus, Mike Mallet, and Chris Marquardt.
Good evening and welcome to the 31st Lap. I'm Chris Marquardt. Joining me in studio, we've got Rich Post back. Holy cow! We've also got Jay Fish and John Bonus joining us here in studio. Mike Mallet has the night off because he's got baseball up in Oswego, so we wish him the best of luck up there, and of course, he got great weather to do it in.
Let's hope they experience a better season this year than they did last.
Well, he did a real good job at practicing for this year. Last year that's pretty much the way he summed up that season.
Yep,
it is what it is. Rich, I'm so glad to see you again.
I got lost on the way here, for Christ's sake.
It doesn't surprise me in the least.
Oh, it's been forever.
I heard you get lost in your own backyard.
Occasionally. That's why we've moved someplace where we don't have a backyard. I can't get lost there.
But not at Carvel, right? When you're picking up the birthday cake.
No, I don't miss nothing. We get two. It's 2 for 1 every time I go.
And Jay Fish, of course, excited to be back for episode number 70 of the 31st Lap. Thanks for making the trip out.
Man, I'm pumped up. It's beautiful over here, and it's good to see all you guys. Fudgy the Whale never steer you wrong, by the way, over at Carvel.
Another veteran of Carvel.
I love Fudgy, man. Got me into the shape I'm in. Body by Fudgy.
It's like you belong here.
All these chins.
John's just excited to have somebody else in the room that's getting the attention, so he doesn't have to deflect shots all night long.
You're welcome, John.
It's all good. It's all good.
Tip that camera down a little bit because you got an awful lot of headroom. It's making you look awful over there.
It's not going to help.
It can't hurt. Big show on deck tonight. We're going to have Kevin Ridley on the program a little bit later on. He picked up the win over at Canandaigua Motorsports Park. John's going to give us the Dick Dragon Motorsports update a little bit later on. Breaking news from the Northeast Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame with some interviews and live stuff coming up over there. So we'll catch up with those snippets of information. And then we got Oswego Speedway opening up this weekend. Who's going up there?
I'll be there.
Who's going up there?
Won't be me.
Well, yeah, I know because it's not a USAC race. So
I gotta be at Port Royal.
Oh yeah, you're gonna go down for that?
Yeah, ARDC.
He's got to be.
Gotta be
for that. It's got to be for that.
That probably will be a good time, right?
Yeah,
I skipped last week, so I gotta go this week.
I'll be there shooting it with a camera. So
yeah, with your phone.
I'll be bringing my camera phone and shooting it, or I may just bring the regular camera. International Super Modified Association is going to be in town, so I'll be there to cover
Make sure
that.
you get some good shots at Craig.
No doubt, man.
It should be a really good race.
I think so. There's a lot of guys, even in the small block supers, like John says. I mean, those guys have been aching to do this. There's going to be plenty of them this year.
Yeah.
The competition level just stepped up a ton in that division, and then you add the Wing Super Modifieds on top of it. It's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, Isma's there for the opener, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Be well worth the price of admission, that's for sure.
You said it, brother.
Is the small block super going to eventually overtake the super modified division?
Never in a million years. Nope. Nope.
It worked over there in New Egypt. I'm just saying.
Well, there are two. The super modified, as we know it, the small block super was never intended to be a premier division at that track. It could be someplace else.
It remains to be seen if it's actually worked for them yet.
Well, that's true.
Right now, it's not working, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for their opener, for the ARDC opener, and I was a little disappointed in the crowd. Let's just say that.
Why is that? What do you mean?
There was not a lot of people there.
Were there any
extenuating
factors, or was it just people didn't want to go?
I don't know. I mean,
didn't you do your due diligence?
I don't know if it was to do with the weather. I mean, it was cold. It was cold that night, but
okay.
It was a nice day. It was just cold, so that shouldn't deter a lot of your race fans from coming. They're used to that. By now, a lot of race fans have been to 10 races by then.
It shouldn't, but it does.
But I don't know if it had anything to do with the weather or the fact that it was because of their switchover.
It's kind of an oxymoron to say that it was a nice day, but it was cold. If it was cold, it wasn't.
It was a beautiful looking day looking out the window.
It looked great from inside, which is where everybody stayed because it was cold out.
Yeah, I mean that's what I say. When I being there and I'm in the infield, when our cars were out there, I had to be in the infield and looking at the stands.
Our cars?
Looking at the stands, and the stands are just empty. And I don't know. I said to myself, is it because of the weather, or is it just because of the track changing from big blocks to small blocks? Did they have that great effect on the fans' participation? I don't know. I've never been there on a regular Saturday. I always assumed they did really well. So that was my first time being there on a regular Saturday night. I've been there for special shows, and those always do well, but I'd never been there for a regular show until then.
You been there?
I was a little surprised and disappointed that there wasn't many people there.
It's a great little track. And
beautiful place.
Only time I've been there was Stuart Friesen's win in the Cabin Fever 60, I believe is what it was. Race of Champions Dirt Modified tour down there, and the people were falling out of the place, and the weather wasn't real good. They had weather challenges.
Yeah, because that race is always in March or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cabin Fever.
Yep.
Not to be confused with Jungle.
Now I know their first race there, the RLC show, they had a problem with the track surface and everything, but the track surface that night, they had the problems as far as roughness worked out. Track was very smooth. It was dry.
Yep.
It was more like a New York State modified track than what you're used to seeing in, say, PA or New Jersey, where it's usually a little heavier.
A lot of the track surface talk is tracks have been holding up pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah,
Canandaigua. I mean, I've only been to Canandaigua. Obviously, it's in my backyard, and I'm not sneaking too far away.
Why is it that you never miss Canandaigua with birthday parties, but you can't find Seneca Falls to save your life?
See, it's this work thing, this
the
earning a
birthdays
living
don't
thing.
fall on Saturday.
Oh, you got to pay bills and stuff?
Yeah, there's all this paper. It comes in the mail. It's got numbers on it. My wife says something about money. I got to make it.
Yep.
She's got to spend it.
Okay.
I still haven't figured it out myself.
Yeah, those things that come in the mail, numbers on it, they're called. Yeah, those are called bills. They're the ones that go in the recycle bin.
Dude, it's not his fault. Birthdays don't fall on Saturdays.
Bills.
Don't get mad.
Bills
John.
junk mail.
When I open it, it's all junk mail. If it says I owe you, it's gone. Bye. That's the money spent for racing. Yeah.
There was a graphics house that did it to you once, didn't they? You were telling me that story before the show started.
Yes, there was once.
I was impressed with the track surface at Brewerton Speedway on Friday night. They pulled that place together, and it was phenomenal. Great racing service. I think the drivers had all agreed, front to back in that deal.
I saw the highlights on Facebook. Somebody posted the video highlights, and looked like it was a pretty good race.
Yeah.
Shepard was all over Billy there in traffic, and looked like traffic is kind of what determined Billy winning that race.
Yeah, Shepard.
Not saying that Shepard would have got him, but traffic kind of played the part the last couple laps.
Shepard's coming together now. He's
which is scary.
He's going to be ridiculous this year. Look out!
I mean, if
Brett Hearn has been ridiculous already, so it's shaping up to be a fun.
He's starting out just like he started last season, and the way he finished last season.
Right.
Unfortunately, there was that middle part where he had the health problems and things. But I tell you, if he stays on like he finished last year, these guys could be in a world of trouble.
It's going to be a hell of a
He was
series.
unbeatable at the end of last year.
It's going to be a hell of a series.
Come August, he just took off. And he's starting out just like that.
Matt's looked real good at Canandaigua, which usually, if he's running pretty well there at home, and he runs well at Brewerton, I mean, when he hits the road, look out.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see how Decker performs this year. He didn't have a bad season, but it wasn't up to what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, it was not a Billy Decker.
Right. Not a Billy Decker type of season last year. So I'm curious to see how they, how they've progressed in the offseason. He's starting out decent, but we'll see once they start hitting the road and see where he ends up. But he's looking okay right now.
How's Steve look at that new Hig Fab car? I saw he did. I mean, he finished top 5 in that race with the Alan Johnson one, but I didn't.
Yeah, the Jan Corgan. He looks like he's trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like it's not like his years past where he's had it figured out and just stuck it down on the bottom rail and said bye. I mean, he definitely looks like he's still trying to figure out where it runs best. And
I'll tell you, who's got his figured out is Jerry.
Yeah,
Jerry's been pretty good at Orange County. He's won 2 out of 3, I think.
Yep.
The only person batting better record is Brett at Lebanon Valley.
Yeah, and Malta.
Yeah.
Well, there's only been 1 week so far, but last year, what he started out first 3 or 4 in a row there, right?
Was it Brett or was it Stu that won the first?
No, Stewie didn't go till later.
Stewie didn't go till later, and I think Bacchetti won a whole crap ton somewhere last year.
Yeah, won like the first 10 or
first 8 or 10, something like that.
Yeah, they did the mid-season point championship, and they handed in the season and trophy at the same time.
But then the last couple months of the season, he tanked.
That's why you race the whole season, John.
Yeah, he can't win.
But
he can't win every week.
It was amazing that he
Really?
won all those races in the beginning, but then once that streak got broken, he just shut it right down.
Steve Payne used to win every week at Black Rock.
Yeah, he did.
He used to win every week at Canandaigua for quite a while, too.
And then there was the changing of the guard over there at Fulton, and everybody came to Canandaigua to change things.
Every track has had those periods where a certain driver takes over. I mean, look at Fonda for years. You saw Jack Johnson win all the time, and
Really?
Jack did that a lot at Malta, and it's just, those guys have everybody's had those moments. Every track's had those moments where guys were just dominant for a period of time. Yeah, Bicknell, Merrittville, and
Danny Johnson at Ransomville.
Yeah.
They had a pretty good race up there at Merrittville over the weekend.
Yes.
Brockman won by like hundredths of a second. Coming out of 4, took Bicknell.
4 1,000ths of a second or whatever it was. Yeah.
Wow. Is Alan Johnson's car a Hig Fab car? Ken's asking.
I don't believe
that
so.
10 car?
I believe the 10 car is a Bicknell. It's a Bicknell.
I mean, I don't think he's been in anything other than a Bicknell for the last 15 years.
Yep. Jerry's
he did. Alan did take Dave Allen. Dave Allen's '88 car. He took the Bicknell. Dave Allen bought a Troyer and was out playing with that, and he took Allen up and put him in the Bicknell and asked him to kind of straighten things out. And I guess Dave was
fix it.
I think Dave was trying to gauge, was it set up? Was it something with that, or was it the nut behind the wheel? By all accounts, the car was going pretty well for a little while up at Utica. Weekend.
Yep, he's been running it up there, and I thought he looked okay the week I saw him in the opener. He looked all right in the car. I mean, obviously, he's still a tick off.
First time in the car, not set up not to him, and
yep.
I don't know if you know this about Alan, but he doesn't own a setup book.
Right,
it's in his head.
Yeah,
he sits in the car, takes a hot lap, comes out, tweaks it, runs the heat, tweaks it, gets what he gets by feel, which is unbelievable.
That's why if you're not impressed by what this guy does every week at this stage of the game, after doing it this many years, then
that's supposed to be Racing New York just chimed in and said at Utica Rome that's going to be a weekly deal for Alan. And Ken was asking about Brewerton, and I wasn't really sure if he was making a joke or not. Brewerton has clay, or does it have the synthetic clay?
No, they took that up, didn't they?
I thought that was gone.
I think they used like a very small percentage. When they did
there
that,
is still some mixed in just because they couldn't sweep it all
out.
up.
I mean, you're not going to get all that out,
no.
but it's for all intents and purposes, it's a clay surface.
Yeah, but when they initially installed that, when they did the test session there beginning of last year, the chemists that came out to the track said they were using right around about 10 or 15% of what they would actually use in a true application for a racetrack.
Right.
And that night you could definitely see the difference, and I think throughout the season as it kind of worked itself in, you did see the desired effect or the result that you're looking for when you design something like that. But that stuff, I don't know, I would imagine that it's mostly gone at this point, if not all gone. But the track that I saw on Friday, I don't know what's in it, but it worked.
It worked.
It was really cool. The crowd got a kick out of it too. It was one of those types of races where people are digging it. Even they started the night out with a makeup feature from their Outlaw weekend last year. It was a 20-lap, 4-cylinder, super stock. That's like carryover feature, and it was awesome. It went bell to bell. And
that's like that fall brawl thing at Hagerstown.
Yeah.
That's been rescheduled to September now.
But it was a great race. It was a great race.
And it's from October of last year.
You can't have the fall brawl in spring. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
It's going to be 11 months later.
As long as they run it, who cares?
I know. I still have a damn ticket to that.
There you go.
But I mean, did the track have to go through a coming in period or anything, or did they just go right to it and hold together?
I mean, after hot laps, they said, "Okay, boys, feature time." The 4 cylinders rolled out and put on a heck of a race. The big fella, I'm going to butcher his last name. I think it's
Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck. Let's just go with Chuck. I mean, he wins.
Chuck P.
Yeah, he
sounds
wins.
like a Beastie Boy.
Yeah, he wins all the time there. But I mean, this wasn't like hey, the guy started out front and just ran away with it. It was an awesome race to watch. 3 and 4 wide. I've got pictures of the thing them coming down the front straight away. And it was unfreaking real to watch. It was so much fun to watch.
That seems like a bold. It seems like a bold decision to me to put the cars. I mean, certainly they're not on modified tires out there to put them out that early. Right after hot laps. It worked. It worked.
Yep. It worked. I've been on a greasy early track in one of those front. You're driving downhill like sideways. It's challenging. It makes it interesting for sure.
How was the crowd Friday?
Awesome. I mean, it's Brewerton, man. It's a night out. They could roll out, the three of us in our street cars, and they'd probably draw a crowd for it.
I find that hard to believe.
They would.
Nope. If they brought us out in big wheels, maybe.
But no, they get a good crowd there. It's one of those traditional crowds that people are like, hey, it's Friday night. This is what we're doing.
Yep.
Let's grab the kids. We're out of work. Let's go have a good time.
We're going racing.
Rumble at the Rock in Harrisonburg, Virginia. They're going to have a a Power Wheel demolition derby down there on May 11th.
Get out of here!
Yeah, I'm going down there for that. I can't wait.
You gotta give video of that.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I gotta make sure that the parents sign off because they're all gonna be kids.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, Power Wheels. I thought that was cool.
Nice.
What do we got? Kevin coming up here fairly soon, right? We got him 7:45 or 7:30. Which side did he ended up? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, do you want to go grab him?
We can grab him whenever. He said he was good. So
why don't we get him on the line and while we get him on the line, have you got all your Dick Dragon stuff?
I didn't bring anything, but I can look it up if you give me a couple.
I'm
minutes.
85th.
We'll get to it later. I gotta look it up.
Okay.
On my phone.
You're gonna pull that up on
I can tell you that Rocky Warner's the point leader.
Rocky. We're just kind of going around the horn.
It's
you
good
got any
for
news?
me.
You got any news? I do, but I don't yet. You got any news? I do, but I don't yet. So, Mike McLaughlin stuff. This is cool for you guys.
It just kind of came together. Joe Murata has had a great relationship with us at the Hall of Fame. He's 2008 inductee, and he calls me up this morning. It could have been more. Excited to talk to me about having Mike McLaughlin on his show this coming Saturday morning. His show, of course, cracks off every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. McLaughlin's geeked up to be being named an inductee this year. He's kind of an inductee in waiting at this point, just 33 days from today. So he's excited.
Who's counting, right?
Yeah, I am every darn day. And some of our fans, we got 3,426 fans, I think, as of a couple hours ago, and they're all on there partying every day and counting this thing down. We got the best group of fans going on, and hopefully that carries over to the racetracks that we've got in this area. Hopefully,
you got a good one. There's one dude that posts a lot of midget stuff on there. I like that. That's a good guy right there.
And I appreciate him sharing. The guys that share midgets or any other type of person you'd like to share on there. Now we can also talk about race car drivers that people are sharing. Of course, you can share anybody you want. It's regardless of division or era, especially. I want to see some old school stuff, and some of the people we're sharing. Of course, Billy Wimble was a good one today. The number 33 from back in the day, and also one of the inaugural inductees of the Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame way back in 1992. So a lot of people are really excited about what we've got going on with this countdown thing. We did it last year, and I think it kind of took hold last year, but it was kind of like I felt like I was still in the driver's seat, which is the opposite of what I want to do with something like that. It's got to feel a little bit more organic, right? This year, the fans have really taken control of the son of a gun. It's kind of a monster all its own. I really don't have to do anything with it. Everybody, will
That's
post.
The best.
It is.
Hands off.
Yep. Here you go, fans. This is your deal. And as a fan myself, I still stand back and pretty pumped up about it.
Tomorrow, there better be some pictures of Joe Johnson on there.
That's a done deal, man. You can count on it. You can count on it. Yeah, I mean, with 32 days, in front of us until we get this Hall of Fame thing done in prime time on the 4th of June. We've got a lot of build up working on this thing.
I've been talking with Julia Foy over at the Dirt Northeast offices, and May 16th before they launch the 358 opener, we're going to have a couple 358 drivers on the show, and then in conjunction with that opener over there at Rolling Wheels and with the Hall of Fame weekend and stuff, we're going to be doing some stuff with them too, and Jeff Hockman's been in the conversation as well. So we'll have tons of dirt motorsports or dirt car related news coming up here in conjunction with all that stuff going on over at the Hall of Fame. When is Walt Mitchell on the ballot to get into the Hall of Fame?
He could be. I wish I could answer that question. Here's why I don't answer that question. There's a board of directors that handles all that stuff. The Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame, the venue that you guys drive by over there in Weedsport, New York, is something completely different. We do events management, and we put on really great shows and all that kind of stuff. The event you'll see for Induction Day on June 4th is something completely different. So that way we don't handle all the political end of this kind of stuff, who gets in, who
That's
doesn't.
Not political. It's not
us.
Justice.
Well, he should be, yeah. and I could say that too, but the folks you want to talk to, are on that board of directors. Buffy Swanson, Gary Spade, Joe Scott Nicky, and that group do a great job of putting folks in and fielding the thousands of requests that they get for folks to go in. And you're right. We have our favorites too that we want to go in. We had one of them sitting right in the Hall of Fame last weekend, and Roger Phelps. He's a guy I feel pretty strongly about, but there's not a darn thing that I can do about it. But the fans can certainly do something about it and make their voices heard by writing a letter and saying, "Hey, I think Roger Phelps should be in," or Donnie Wetmore, or anybody else you've got on the right. Those two guys probably have a pretty good case.
Hard
right?
to argue.
hundreds of feature wins. Yet they're not in. But the way to get it done is to write letters, and we'll make sure they get to the board of directors. If you want to send them through us, that's great. keeping in mind that, of course, there ain't a darn thing I could do about it other than put on a really cool show when you come out to the Hall of Fame. But I think that's what makes the job so much fun, right? I can write a press release and put it out to you guys in 30 seconds. All of a sudden, Mike McLaughlin's going to be there, but I don't have to juggle the 60 million other things, all the moving parts that go into putting somebody actually into the Hall of Fame. When you want to induct somebody, there's a big process that goes on. I don't envy the people that are in charge of doing it because there's always the conjecture of, gee, so-and-so should have gone in ahead of so-and-so.
Yeah.
Well, that's the cool thing about our sport, guys. We're going to be around for 100 more years, and we'll probably get it right eventually.
Hal Manel, the name Pico Sticks asking, is Hal Manel in the Dirt Hall of Fame?
I just read the list today. I didn't see
Who?
him.
Yeah. Hal Manel. I don't know if I'm
Who's
saying
that?
it right.
Write a letter. What's the guy's name?
Hal Manel.
No, the person that was asking
Oh,
about
that's
him.
Pico Stick. He's here all the time.
Pico Stick, please write a letter about Hal
Yes,
Manel.
and sign it Pico Stick because that would be
Yes.
hilarious.
Yeah, Pico, officially yours, Pico Stick. Esquire. Or MD, whatever it is, Pico. I'm not sure what your vocation really is.
Oh, come on now. Joining us on the line now, we'll get into more Hall of Fame talk in a little bit, but we don't want to keep Kevin Ridley waiting. The winner by an eyelash over there at Canandaigua Motorsports Park. What a race that was in the sportsman division. Kevin, welcome to the 31st lap.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad we could make something happen tonight. Tell us a little bit about Saturday. I mean, that was a thrilling race.
Yeah, we started off the night, we were really tight in the hot laps, and we worked on the car a little bit, tried to free it up for the heat race, and it was still really tight for the heat race, and somehow we ended up winning it. I'm really not sure how, but we did. And, I think we were third on the card for the features. So my crew guy and I, Terry, we went out to the track and just, watch him prep the track and see what it was looking like, and we decided to just make a quick shock adjustment. We went out, and we just got lucky. We hit the setup, so we were pretty good.
I mean, how much wrenching did you have to do in order to get that car ready, given that you were third in the order? I mean, only a shock adjustment. It sounds kind of no big deal. We got this kind of thing.
Yeah, we're really not good at taking notes. I was watching you guys on the show a little bit earlier before you guys called me, and I kind of try to just keep everything in my head, and which
so do we.
Doesn't work out because I'm not very smart. So
works for us.
We remember we went off of what we were doing last year. Kind of the same thing towards the end of the year. We got on a roll. We won 2 in a row at one point, and we had the good runs at Brewerton and stuff. So we just went off that. We took a little bit of pressure out of the right front shock and changed the left rear shock, and it made the car a lot better. Still a little tight. I think we could have been a tick better, but we were good enough to win.
What are you laughing at? Did I misspell it?
No, he's just so creepy looking on that monitor up there. It's really throwing me off here. Sorry about that, Kevin. I'm just being creeped out by what you might be viewing on your screen as well at home.
It's not just on screen. It's creepy every day.
Are you going to be all right, Kevin? I don't want to distract you from your driving abilities by having to peer at that bald man you're probably looking at on the computer monitor at home.
We're good. Don't worry.
Our apologies.
Yeah, Kevin's used to it. He's got to look at me every Saturday night. So
God bless him.
That's nightmare fuel right there, boys and girls.
Especially if he keeps finishing in the top 5, he's going to have to look at me every single weekend.
He hopes he does then.
How important is getting this win early in the year?
Oh man, it's really important for us. We're looking to have a breakout season. Really, we've been in this class for a long time, and we've struggled. At this point, we're not happy unless we're winning. And to win 2 or 3 races a year just isn't good enough for us. We feel we're better than that with the money we spend, and the time and effort we put into it. So, unless we pick up the pace here and get 6-7 wins a year, I guess I just won't be satisfied at this point.
You were a track champion there 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
2008.
Oh wow!
We were the track champion there, and I think we only won 1 race, and it wasn't even a points-paying race.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, you did it without winning a points race. So is winning last Saturday good news or bad news in terms of the season points for you?
I'm generally not a points racer. I don't go out looking to try to win championships because honestly, the championship pays about as much to win in 1 race. So I'd rather win 3 races than championship, to be honest with you.
We got all sorts of people talking about the yellow car this year. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we decided to paint the whole thing for us in yellow, make it easy to see. My girlfriend's parents were in the tow truck at Canandaigua, and they always complain that when it was dusty last year, they couldn't see the car too well. I mean, I've got the yellow wheels and all that stuff. So this year, I decided to paint the whole thing yellow, and if you can't see it, well then I really can't do anything else.
Kevin, if they can't see that, it's because there's a legit medical reason, like they're blind, because that sucker is bright.
Yeah, that was the plan. I mean, I just wanted to make it easy to see because they've got so much going on. You know, they're trying to watch the pack, see if there's any wrecks. They got to go out there, so it's easy just to glance and see my car. I'm hoping so.
Yeah, that is true. That is fact.
Talk about the competition level over there this year. I mean, it's been pretty tough to get a win there in the past, and everybody's only getting better.
Yeah, it's definitely the toughest competition. In my opinion, the toughest competition here in the state. I mean, yeah, you can go anywhere pretty much and run in the top 5 if you get a decent car, but you could have a really decent car and still only finish 10th at Canandaigua. There is a lot of good cars and no shortage of people spending money on them, you know. And every year you think, finally, you know, I've got what I need, and something new comes out, and that guy's got it, and you're like, oh, man, you know, I got to go get that. So, yeah, there's 10, 15 cars every night at Canandaigua that come in a race. You know? So it's tough sledding there. If you know, I say I would be happy if I don't win, you know, 6, 7 races a year, but to win 3 or 4 at Canandaigua, it's an effort, you know.
So when you're out front at Canandaigua and the laps are clicking off and you're waiting to see the checkered flag come and you're out in front, who is the number and the driver that's coming up that scoring tower in the infield that makes you the most nervous when you see a number move from 5th to 4th to 3rd?
There's probably 5 or 6 guys that you gotta worry about. I mean, you've got Paul Guerri, he's always fast.
Mm-hmm.
You got Steve Gray, he's usually fast there. You got Danny Wiesner, you know, Nick. There's a host of cars there that, you know, the track has been so good that they can be in any line. You know, they can either be catching you from the top or they could be hunting around the bottom. What you got to do is just find where your car works best the quickest. You know, if you find your car works the best at the top, you need to find that out within the first 2 or 3 laps to put as much distance as you can on them guys.
Yeah, but with the sportsman car, is there that much evolution in the course of the race? I mean, with the big block, you've got a rather static tire compound, and the track is going to evolve. You know that just because you're out there longer. The sportsman doesn't have that horsepower. It doesn't have that wide tread pattern like you've got with a big block or with a late model. So does the track changing that much through the course of your feature allow you to move around and make major gains through the course of that short time you're out there?
I wouldn't say major, but the track definitely does change, you know. And then I don't care who you are, when you're catching somebody, you change the way you drive. You know, you start driving just a little bit harder. And, you know, if you're driving a little too hard and, you know, you're not hitting the bottom anymore and you're in the middle, you know, you got to kind of move around so you can drive that car as hard as you need to, you know, and try to keep it underneath you still. So, I mean, yes and no. The track usually stays the same for us for the most part. It does get a little slippery in the middle, but for the most part, the bottom and the top is always good. You know, I try to set my car up to roll through the middle because there's not a lot of guys that can do that. So you can go right between cars a lot of times. And, you know, other than that.
But is there an advantage to lane hunting? Like if you watch a late model guy, the lane that he's running on lap 10 and the line that he's running on lap 30 and the lane that he's running on lap 50 might be very different. It may have come back to the same, and you can see them gain all sorts of ground. Modified guys, periodically, you'll see them go to the top and they'll look like a hero for a couple laps and things like that. Is it worth it trying to do that, or once you find the spot where your car works, you should stay dedicated to that line and make the best of what you got?
Yeah, absolutely. With a sportsman car, I mean, basically, with the limited horsepower, the shorter way around generally is going to be the fastest. But the problem is that the bottom gets clogged up at Canandaigua. There's so many people that will not come off the bottom, and you have to find a different line. So you have to kind of make your car work at the top for the most part, or the middle. You know, and that's what we strive to do. Is just, you know, we can roll the bottom usually. Like last week, I mean, I would run the top in 3 and 4 and the bottom in 1 and 2. And in the beginning of the race, when I was racing with Paul for the lead, he was on the bottom, of course, and I was left at the top or the middle. And the first 3 or 4 laps, I would run the top all the way around, and it just wasn't working for me in 1 and 2. So each lap after that, I moved down towards the middle a little bit, and finally I got to the point where I could roll through the middle and stay right with them. And then in 3 and 4, I could pull away. So
with
for the most part, the rest of that race, I ran the top in 3 and 4 and the bottom in 1 and 2.
Somebody just said that in the live chat. Said that's exactly where he was running. Has the new clay surface there changed your approach? I mean, is the bottom clogging up more because of that, or is that just? I mean, that seems like it's the nature of the beast. It's always been that way from what I've been there. But has that new clay and the change in the banking changed your driving style at all, or has it changed anybody else and made anybody else better?
You know, I'm not really sure what it's done for anyone else. I don't feel that it's changed.
Well, it's easy to tell if it's done something for somebody else because they're finishing better.
Right. I mean, I don't feel that it's changed our car and the way we approach the race. I mean, we approached it pretty much the same way we would a regular Saturday night last year. The bottom is always clogged up at Canandaigua because, I mean, I don't know, there's just, I think people have raced there for so long, they're trained, like, they think the bottom is the fastest because it's the shortest way around on a big track, you know. But momentum means a lot in these straight cars, you know. If you can keep your foot on the gas, no matter where you are, you're going to be faster than the guy that's letting off, you know.
Kevin, Saturday night, you know, I noticed you definitely were running way outside, and it looked like you were making the biggest gains there, and a lot of it came through turns 3 and 4 where that new clay is, and, you know, there used to be that big berm and ditch off the outside of the turn. Since that's been eliminated, does that make it a little bit easier, if nothing else mentally, to go out and step out to that top lane and just have at it a little bit, as opposed to in the past where, you know if you hit that 1 foot lip, you're going for a ride?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I've never thought about it. You know, I don't think about, boy, I better not go out there because, you know, I might wreck. I just go out there because I think there might be bite and it might, you know, be faster. For me, it doesn't change anything. That ditch could be 8 feet deep and it doesn't make a difference. I'll go out there if I can pass the guy in front of me.
Nice.
I'm sure for some people it does help their confidence a little bit running the top because they know they're not going to roll when they hit it. But for me, like I said, you could have an 8 foot ditch there, and if I'm gonna need to pass the car in front of me, I'm going out there.
Yeah, it's that. Speaking of somebody who sat in that seat, I week 1 inside a Sportsman car, night number 1, I hit the berm, so that kind of changed my perspective on how high I even thought about going from that point on.
Yeah, you can tell there are people that you can tell just are afraid to run way out there, and it's not for everybody. When you're out there at the top and you're wound up and you come off a 4, that concrete wall comes up fast. You know that it's not moving. So, I mean, you got to pay attention and you've got to hit your marks. If you don't, you can end up, doing some damage.
From a driver's perspective, what's your take on the jersey barriers that are now omitted from the 4th turn?
I was a fan of the walls because the walls don't move. These tires, they're okay, but the problem is if someone hits them, they're in a different spot every time you go through there, know, or they're rolling down the middle of the track, and you got to try to dodge them,
Yep.
It just makes it a little more difficult. You really got to pay attention to where they are, and then try to pay attention to where the cars are in front of you, what's going on up there, because you can't just look at your front tires. You got to, look out and see what's going on. So it's just another variable. Honestly, I would rather see the tires turned on their side and buried halfway a little bit so they can't move if someone hits them.
Yep.
But, I mean, I guess I kind of understand if they're buried halfway, the water stays in there a little bit, and it makes kind of a mess when people do hit them because the water splashes all over. But I've never been a fan of Uke tires on the track. I prefer walls.
They had the tires buried in the inside of Big Diamond Raceway for years. And the guys, the modifieds, would take their left front and carry it over the buried tire. And they finally, after many, many years, they finally pulled them out and removed them. But they got to be, it was down to a science. The modified guys would go down in the bottom, and they'd take that left front and run it right over across those tires. But, boy, if you hit them wrong, it would automatically turn them right around right in front of a whole mess of cars and created such havoc.
BlackRock had those rumble strips for a long time.
Yep.
They used to have those tall walls in there, and then they had the rumble strips, and I think
now they've got these
white
turtles.
The turtles.
turtles.
The infamous turtles of BlackRock.
Yep.
Those things will destroy anything just as fast as anything else will.
That's true.
How tough is it to get back into the swing of things? I mean, is driving the Sportsman car the way that it's so momentum focused, and with all the changes that they made at Black Rock, is it like riding a bicycle, or is there some reacclimation that has to be done every year?
It's the first lap or two. You're always a little bit timid, I'd say. I mean, if you take this sport serious, you make sure you go through your whole car, you take it apart, you make sure nothing's cracked, everything's right, and you put it back together. And after you've been doing it for 6 or 7 years, it's like you say, it's just like riding a bike. You're in the same car, you know that it's put together right, you know everything that you have, you know what it was like. So, I mean, it might be just that one lap where you're worried about, a tire coming off the bead because they're brand new and you haven't, really set the beads or anything like that. But other than that, that's it. Once you make a lap, you get the feel of it again. It's no different than the summer past.
See, Rich, there's hope for you. You'll be all right.
No, there's no hope.
I don't know about that.
Trust me, Kevin, there's no illusions in my head that make me think there's any hope for me.
So when are you going to make the jump to the sprint cars? Everybody else is.
Probably never.
No?
Love it.
Finally, somebody who hates those things as much as me.
Dang.
I'm really not a fan of those. I mean, to each his own. I guess everyone has, like there's a seat for everyone's butt, but that seat's definitely not for my butt. Just not a fan. I don't like having to push the things off, and just, you work on it at the shop, and you got to push it to get it going to see if there's anything wrong with the engine. It's just, to me, it seems more like a pain. And I don't want to be bothered with it. It's hard enough to, work on a car. You can start with a button, let alone.
And it seems like in the division you're in, you really dig what you're doing. And the group of guys you've been racing with for so long, it seems like you guys can go out there confidently and race against each other and know you can put on a good show. And it's a good bunch. You know what I mean? Why would you make that switch? I guess is your point, bro. I mean, it's such a good group to have to race against every Saturday. It's almost going to drive you nuts trying to figure out that puzzle every week against the same group of rabid dogs like you have to race against. Is there a rival in that bunch? Or you guys seem to all get along so good, but if you had to pick one, is there a rival in that bunch that if push come to shove, I mean, it was you and him for the checkered flag, is there one that you'd pick out and single out as a rival?
I really don't. I go out there and, with Paul Gibbs and Nick, and Eric and, a bunch of the guys we race with, we have fun,
Yeah.
It's a good time. And if you lose to one of them or they lose to me, they know that they're going to get a barrage of text messages, busting their chops. And it's the same way. I don't look at any of them as a rival. I mean, basically, I look at those guys as, my teammates. We kind of learn off each other,
Okay.
We all do different things, and at the end of the night, this is what we did, and maybe it'll work for you next week. Give it a shot, So if I had rivals, I definitely wouldn't share information with them, and I have no problem sharing anything I learned. So.
Well, and you're also you share a shop with Nick, Guerreri, Gibbs,
yep,
and I believe Gary Tompkins as well. Correct?
Gary was with us last year. Rouser gave him some added sponsorship to his team, and now he is working out of Dave Rouser's shop. So he's no longer with us at our shop. But obviously, we're all still good friends. We shoot the breeze back and forth, and we learn from each other even then. So it was good. It was good having Gary there. We learned from him, and that's what our goal was. You get these guys that have been racing for 20, 30 years, and they know a lot. They've seen everything for the most part, and they can help you a lot with pretty much anything.
Now, never mind all these other guys. Just between you and me, Kevin. Let's be honest. Let's go back to this whole rivalry thing. You ran a 2-car team with Eric Jaguar. Your brother was wrenching for the 66 car. You're telling me that you don't have any rivals. Nobody that you really feel a little bit better when you beat these guys.
You feel a little bit better when you beat the guys that are at the top. But honestly, I don't focus on what anyone else does. I don't thrive off of what anyone else does. Just like the points thing, I don't race for points. I go out there and I do my best, and I try to have as much fun as I can. I know some nights it doesn't seem like it because I'm miserable, but that's usually because it's hot and I'm fat. Or
name one racer on race night that isn't like that though.
Right. So I don't know, like. as much as people want to think there might be, I really don't feel like I have any rivalry with anyone. Honestly, it's just, what happens at the end of the night happens at the end of the night, and next week for me it's just a different week. And that's kind of the sense you get when you're around these guys. Off the track, they're just a bunch of amiable dudes who really love racing, and they're going to put it to each other out on the track, but. They know at the end of the day, hey, we got to come back and do this again next week. Yeah. Outside of Canandaigua, is there another track that, if you had to pick one, is kind of your favorite track to go race at? Oh yeah, I'd say my favorite track is Brewerton. I've always loved that place. I wish we could race there more often. I've raced there, I think, just a handful of times, maybe 4 or 5 times. And every time we go there, we really didn't have a lot of luck the first few times. We'd crash or whatever because the place is, kind of tight through 1 and 2, and everyone in a sportsman car wants to keep it to the floor because you kind of have to. But that's pretty much my favorite track. It's fun racing, it's tight racing, and you're always passing cars. Like, people, you run into lap traffic. Well, lap traffic to me is fun. Like, I like passing cars. I like having to watch that guy in front of me for 2 laps before I catch him so I know where I'm going or where he's going, or sometimes you don't know where either of yours are going. But I like that part of the racing, whether it's racing someone for the lead or whether it's just passing lap cars. I love doing it. This guy's a racer. I dig him. I gotta get out to Canandaigua more often, man. I don't get out there near enough.
You've never met Kevin before?
I've met him before, but I don't get to see him race near enough. I only get to Canandaigua, but maybe once or twice a year. For some reason, I don't know what it is. It's in my blind spot for some reason.
Jay, let me just tell you, if when
you
get
get in the
back
microphone.
out there, go over to the corner of the pits. It's got the entire Guerreri clan and Kevin Ridley.
Yep.
You want to hear some good time, ball busting, good old fashioned fun? Go over there and hang out for about a half hour.
Oh, they're great dudes. I've been around them, but just don't get to see them race enough.
Their chops busted.
Yeah. Awesome. And you got to be careful because you might get hit in the head with a piece of mud or something. I mean, because there's always something going on. Someone's always messing with someone. So
Good.
It's a good time. Like I said, I look forward to going to the races. Hell, the gates normally don't open until 4:30, and I'm there at 4. I want to get going. I want to have some fun. And that's what we do. And every week, as bad as your night is, sometimes, you look forward to it the next week because it's just, a bunch of buddies having a good time.
If there's nobody there that's necessarily a rival because everybody gets along, so well, is there somebody so far this season that has impressed you with their improvements?
Other
than Kevin Ridley, of course.
I'm the last person that thinks like that. I don't. I'm hard on myself a lot, and anyone that really knows me will tell you that. Like I said at the beginning of this interview here, I might have won the race, but I didn't feel like I had a really good car. And I definitely made a lot of mistakes. And in the the post race interview there with Shane, I said the car makes me look a lot better than I really am. I almost lost the race myself. The one time I got too high getting into 3 and 4 and almost drove off the end of the track. But as far as anyone that stands out that's gotten a lot better, I would say believe it or not would probably be Eric Jagier. He was struggling last year, and I tried to help him with his car as much as I could. It's hard enough to work on one of these things when you're working a full-time job, and to try to help other people makes it tough, but, we do what we can. But he was definitely, his car was terrible. It had no drive. I had no clue what was wrong with it. I worked on it 2 nights myself and drove it a few times, and it just wasn't very good. And this year my brother put a TO together for him, and my brother and Brian, my brother-in-law, and they're running a lot better. He was very competitive Saturday night, and he won his heat race. So I'd say that, he's impressed me so far compared to what he was running, how he was running. And I'd have to say, one of my partners in crime, Matt Guerreri, he got a new chassis this year, and we put that together at our shop, and we're working out some bugs on it, carburetor issues and stuff like that. But I got a feeling he'll be real good this year too.
Yeah, he's come a long way in a pretty short time period, on the grand scheme of things.
Yep, definitely.
Who else has been impressive over there at Canandaigua was Charlie Donk. He's not in the sportsman car, but he's been doing a great job with that 305. He found his niche.
He definitely found his niche. And one other guy in the sportsman ranks that I've seen an improvement from the last half of the end of last year and starting this year is Dave Marcichelli.
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, the guy, I don't know what the change in program was. I don't know where things turned around for him, but he was running well.
Yep.
And then he just flipped the switch, and he's opening night. He was on rails. He looked pretty good last weekend. So, he's impressed me a little bit.
He'll get one this year. I got a feeling. He'll definitely get one this year.
Yeah, well, he already has, obviously, the opening night there, the Open Tire Show he won.
Wow.
Hey, Dave and I are good friends, too. We talk all the time on Facebook and at the track, and they definitely they stepped up their program a little bit this year. They went out and bought another car very similar to what I have, a lot more updated parts than what I have. So, they should be good. Dave's tough. He gets on a roll, and it's tough to slow him down. So
he was good at Weed Sport.
Yep.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
He was always pretty good.
Spano was really good at Weed Sport, too.
Gray was good at Weed Sport.
Gray.
In the Sportsman. I used to love watching all them guys go at it at Weed Sport, man. That was a good bunch.
Soon.
ASAP, brother.
Just as soon as Jay finishes that purchase order.
So Kevin, where do you take the rest of your 2013 season outside of racing at Canandaigua Motorsports Park?
Yeah, we definitely have a full season ahead of us there. Our sponsors, we're committed to our sponsors, and they want us there, so that's where we'll be. We'll be at all, I think there's 5 Brewerton shows. We'll be at all of those. Like you guys were just talking, if Weedsport does open, that's a great track. I've had some success there in the past, and I love racing there again because you're pretty much always in traffic, and like I said, I love passing cars. So we'll go there if they have any sportsman shows. Other than that, I'm really not sure. It'll be hit and miss, to the bigger paying shows. I don't like traveling real far unless it's for a little bit better money. Just because it's tough, I'm working, 40, 50 hours a week in my regular job, and then getting out and then going. And
what do you do, Kevin?
I'm a purchasing manager for a company in Canandaigua, New York. We build concession kiosks and retail kiosks for football stadiums and baseball stadiums and things like that.
I did not know that. Wicked.
Yeah.
How about sponsors, man? How else are you getting this deal done, man? It's a lot of racing. I mean, just racing one place, let alone trying to travel a little bit, make a little bit more money at some of the special shows.
Mm-hmm.
How else do you bring it together? What are the partners that you got on the car, sponsors on the car that you've got? How do you guys make that thing go?
Yeah, I've got some really loyal friends, and they help me a lot, and I can't thank them enough. Every time I get the chance, I make sure that I say their names. Billy Kimpton and Terry Schmidt and Fred Sabenfold. Those guys, they've been with me from the beginning, since the day I said I think I'm going to buy a car. They were right there, and I can't thank them enough, And then I've got Jivo's Rears and Gears. Jivo's been with us for 4 years now. He's been a great help. He's at the track. If anything happens, he's right there to whatever we need. He'll help us out. We've got couple new sponsors this year. We got Milt's Precision Collision, which is in Geneva. They do body shop and small mechanic repairs. He's new this year, and he's a great ad. He's been helping us a lot. We have Foxy Tan. It's a tanning salon in Geneva that just opened up on 414.
Foxy.
It's tough to get sponsors, and when you get sponsors like that, it's a brand new business. They don't really know much about it, and you try to present what you do to them, and it's nice to see someone get interested like that. So I got to thank them, for their interest in the sport and learning and coming on board with us. I've got Extreme Lubes. Jeff, he helps me out with oils and stuff like that. Let's see, Mike Mahaney Racing Shocks. Mike helps me out a ton with the shocks. If anything breaks, I can call him up that morning, and I'll bring it down and he'll fix it right there for me. So I got to thank him a lot. He's done a lot for me so far, too.
Great kid.
Did you lose him? Is he there?
No, I don't think we lost him. Still with us, Kevin?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Whew. I got nervous there for a second.
Yeah, and then I got to thank James Henry with Mad Skins Bodies. He gives us a deal on the bodies and stuff like that, and I appreciate that. And that's about it. We don't have a whole ton, but what we do have, they definitely help us a lot.
Well, we can only wish you the best going forward. I mean, hopefully you hit your goal of getting that 6, 7, 10, 15 wins over there at Canandaigua.
That's a tough road.
But
I'm not happy unless I can win that many. But I know that in a real world here, it's a tough order. So.
Well, we appreciate you making time for us, and we look forward to having you on here again. If there's anybody else again that you want to thank, make sure you recognize them.
All right, I appreciate it a lot, and like I said, just all my sponsors, Fred's, Foxy Tan, Jibo's Rears and Gears, Mike Mahaney, Mad Skins, just everyone that helps. I gotta thank them a lot.
Sounds good, Kevin. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks guys for having me. I appreciate it a lot.
Good luck,
Kevin.
Thanks, man.
We'll see you Saturday.
All right, take care.
Bye.
There goes Kevin Ridley.
Dang.
He's a good time.
He's got me pumped up to go to Canandaigua Motorsports Park.
I believe he is this week.
That's awesome. That's
Going
awesome.
for 2 in a row. Ken was loving that because he actually said, "I go for wins, not points."
You gotta love it. That's a race car driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and don't get me wrong. I understand the guys that are running for points, and I get what they're doing, but I've got some old school cloth in me, and that's the good drivers are legends that are still running now. They never ran for points.
Right.
They went out to win. Whatever points they got, we got a guy like Danny Johnson. You think he ever ran for points? No. He was going for a win. If he put it there, he put it there, and if he didn't, well.
Interesting take on the travel, though. He said it has to be major more money for him to get to go out of town. That's kind of a different perspective on it. You see, we've talked a lot on the show in the past about would a big purse be better at drawing more cars necessarily, and it seems to be Kevin does not subscribe to that theory.
I think he's a guy with some significant perspective. I mean, he puts friends, family, all that kind of stuff probably well in line ahead of what his racing deal is, and I think that's kind of cool, especially. And
he is a humble dude.
Yeah,
he is a good dude.
In that division, the sportsman division, that's what's so appealing to me in that regard, is that those guys kind of have a perspective about what it's all about, and they kind of keep racing, where maybe it should be.
It's this weird, and it's this weird amoeba dynamic where for a while these guys are going to work together, and that guy kind of just floats off and ends up with this group over here, but that group loses somebody that ends up over here. That they just kind of keep. It's like this revolving door or carousel sort of say, and everybody still gets along. There's no real hard feelings.
Mesh it really well, and that's what I think. What I like most about Kevin is he's just what you see is what you get. He's honest.
Yep.
If you ask him a question, he's going to give you his answer, and if you don't like it, okay, don't like it, and he's not going to take your opinion away from you, but he's going to tell you every single time.
Except for that he doesn't have a rival.
I wanted that so bad. I wanted him just to be like, look, I hate
Come
this
on,
dude.
name names.
To be honest with you, I really don't think he does.
He doesn't.
No.
I mean, he's
just that kind of guy. Yeah. He enjoyed. He started racing because his friends were doing it.
Somebody would have to.
That's why
somebody
he
would have
started.
to. Somebody would have to instigate it. He's not going to go just like pick a rival. Someone would have to instigate it with Kevin.
Drive over him every week after week for 3 or 4 weeks in a row.
No,
right over the front.
No.
Of him. Even then, he probably
they're not going to drive over him 3 or 4 weeks in a row. They do it twice in a row. They're not going to get it third.
That's
time.
right.
That's not going to happen.
That might establish a rivalry if they get to week 2.
No. Kevin will take care of it this week, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless somebody else carries it on.
Yeah. When he comes back the following week, it's going to be over.
Yeah. He scrubs last week. I mean, he's a race car driver. He's got a long memory.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He remembers, but if you don't,
John, you're still here.
We just woke him up.
Just hanging out listening.
We haven't said anything about midgets yet, so he's not excited.
Now he knows how I feel most
excited over midgets.
It's hard for me to get into the conversation because I don't go to Canandaigua only once every couple of years, for a special show. I'm not a regular there, so I really don't have any.
I'm not a regular any place but Canandaigua.
I don't have any input.
I'm not going to comment.
I don't have any insight of what's going on over there
on
a weekly basis.
But you do appreciate the fact that there are sportsman cars that are powered by crate engines that run other places at Canandaigua.
Sure.
Okay.
And plus,
those aren't midgets.
Just I think Kevin's a good representation of what those guys are all about. I mean, he's a good working dude. He's like he says, 50, 60 hours a week being a purchasing manager someplace else.
He's the guy that the crate engine class was supposed to help.
Right. And I think that's really what I like most about following racing is those kind of guys. The fact they got to go out, they got to work all stinking week and fit the car in and try to do what he. Yep. I don't know if he's a married guy or not. Right? Is he married?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, thank God. Right? Because he's got a full-time job and he's got a full-time racing deal and he's got all this other stuff going on. It's tough to be married and do this deal.
It'd be tough to put
I tried it once. It was not good.
It'd be tough to put a divorce bill inside all that other stuff that's going on.
Pay no attention.
I did that already. We burned up a marriage. I think we established that the last time I was on it, show 69, Mallet and myself, of have been through the marriage situation once. Not doing that anymore. I was downsized in our corporate structure there with the wife and I. But no, Kevin's a great representation of what I love most about this sport. You know, the straight up guy who's got to work for it every week, and then, you know, he gets out of the job, you know, takes off the shirt and tie or whatever he wears at his particular vocation, and there he is. Now he's in the shop, you know, doing it for until when?
Right,
you know?
Until it's done.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's really what the people are what's important in the sport.
That's what's supposed to be important.
The cars, like is pointed out, you know, they're all the same. They're crates. They're sportsmen. They should be about the same car. But what's really cool is all the individuals that make up the sport, you know, and there's a bunch of good ones, man. They're really good people. Really good.
And the thing I like about that is you can watch a race and you can understand who put the prep time in. And
amen to that.
With that division in particular.
You said it, man.
I mean, you notice the guys starting to rise to the top.
Yep.
They're looking a little bit more tired these days. They're not smiling quite as much because they don't have that energy. They've been working 40+ hours a week at a job, and probably another 20, 30 a week in the shop.
Yeah.
There's some conversation on here, and unfortunately, you're the only representative in the room for the Hall of Fame.
Oh boy!
So,
I'll give it a shot.
Jay just became a punching bag.
Yeah,
ready to go.
That's all right.
Well, there's a long conversation about all the different drivers, and they said they want to know. A couple drivers want to know why the late model drivers aren't as well represented in the Hall of Fame.
Ooh, wow, that's a really great question.
Because
yeah,
Glenn Donnelly would not have forgotten the late model drivers. Whoa. It went from a conversation to, oh, really, Jay Fish says.
Oh,
I don't know. I mean, Glenn was around for quite a while where they had that Hall of Fame around. If there's no late model drivers there, and I'm not pointing a finger at Glenn. I'm just saying he was there for as long as anybody here is now.
There's a great group of drivers that
and there's no doubt
taking that part of
my point to the folks on the message board is nominate them. Pen to paper or fingers to keyboard on your computer. Nominate those folks. There's a board.
Are they talking about late model drivers from like the 70s, early
70s
80s,
and 80s?
Before they turned into the 320 small block? Is that what they mean?
Yeah, folks, you got to vote.
They're talking about Jack Everson, Jeff Capusser, who's passed away.
Oh yeah.
Mike Colston, there's a good example.
Jack Cottrell.
Mike Colston on all fronts.
Jack Cottrell used to be a late model driver at Fonda before he moved up to modifieds.
I think that says Charlie Castile, Dennis Taney, Roger Phelps, Walt Mitchell.
Roger Phelps won a New York State Championship in a late model back in the day.
Steve Payne ran a late model.
Payne.
For quite a long time.
That's where he got started. Yeah.
That was where he broke in.
Hey, a point well taken. Everybody on the message board, you're barking up the right tree. I wish I was the guy that you could write a letter directly to, and I'd wave the proverbial wand.
I wish you could see
them in. Are they mad at me?
ESS prints are there. Hello. That's exactly what he wrote.
You know what though? How hard?
That's only recent though.
But how hard did Dean Reynolds work?
That's only
behind
now
the scenes to get that done.
That's only now that's happening though.
Let me answer all the questions.
Before it was Dirt Motorsports.
Hang on, boys. Hang on. Hold your horses. ESS deal.
He just gave you a big kudos that you had a good answer.
The annex, the annex of the Empire Super Sprints. They're part of the Hall of Fame. Is completely separate, and we didn't get to vote on that. Our board of directors is something completely different than that. That was a real quick partnership. Quick and dirty on that story. Dean literally.
How many times has Jay had to say, "I'm not part of that"?
We don't do that part. We don't do that. We do. I should wear a shirt.
In case you're not listening,
it says we don't do that.
They don't do that anymore.
But there's a whole separate entity, which is beautiful.
It's like when Hockman's on and we're drilling about stuff for Scott Nicky.
Yeah, well,
you got to talk to Scott Nicky.
Well, and that's a good thing. You want that separation there. I don't want the same guy who's cooking my burger also waiting on the table and having his hands and all the other stuff. I want somebody who's going to put on a show. And that's what Jack Spino and the volunteer staff there, Pam and Harry Alkema and Richard Appleby, the volunteer staff at the Hall of Fame does really, really well. We put on a great event. We treat people like gold while we're there, and that's exactly what you want. I don't want to be doing any of the dirty stuff behind the scenes, because if I had to sift through 1,000 letters or nominations, you wouldn't see me on camera anymore. I'd probably shoot myself. That's why there's a separate entity that handles that kind of stuff. Same thing at my regular day job. There's administrators that handle stuff for me, so I can go out and do the good stuff, the work of making it happen. And that's what the Hall of Fame, as you see it in Weedsport, New York, is all about. We put on great events. We're going to treat you amazing when you're there. and the rest of it gets handled by somebody completely separate so we can do our jobs the absolute best. Now, the Empire Super Sprints deal, it's a funny story. Take me 3 seconds, which is just about as long as it took to put that deal together. Dean Reynolds texts me. I call Jack Spino. Jack says, sure, why not? Let's make sure it's cool with everybody involved. It was cool, and the next thing we know, we have their Hall of Fame plaques hanging in our Hall of Fame. That's how stuff can happen.
So I gave Dean way too much credit.
Yeah. No, he was smart.
For getting the Lucas Oil AT&T Empire Super Sprints and Annex. There you go, Dean.
No. The deal is that life is all about leveraging who you know. He happened to know me and knew there was a relationship there. That's how the sport can really flourish, man.
Yeah, this is
awesome.
People bartering.
He's probably not listening.
Jay, I want Balmason. We're going to vote Balmason.
He's probably not
the
listening.
The ARDC
tonight.
wing.
Yeah. I know. How come there's no midget drivers in there? What the hell?
No comment.
There were some guys who are a little shorter in stature than others, I'm sure. But, hey, all the people on the message board, you keep those letters coming. You guys keep typing and voting with a bullet. Make sure you get the word out about the drivers you want in. There's a Facebook page you can go to, and you can recommend it on there. But make sure you put it in formal writing and get it in front of the board of directors. If you want to send the letters to me, if you want to send them to the hall, we'll make sure it gets to the right people. To make those types of decisions. But if you want to fill them up with nominee after nominee, make sure it happens. I don't care what division it is. If they ran on dirt, let's get them in front of the place.
Is the Northeast? I guess this is a question that you might be able to answer. This I think this is fair. Is ESS going to have their separate Hall of Fame inductions, or are they going to have them in conjunction down the line with the regular Hall of Fame inductions that are more traditionally there's Memorial Day or now the June weekend?
Yeah, theirs will be a standalone event. They always have theirs at their awards banquet. If at some point that partnership ever grows to where they want to start having their Hall of Fame induction ceremonies with us, absolutely, that'd be great. We're open to any events. If people at home right now want to put on an event at our place, you can have it. We're open to corporate events and housing anything that somebody wants to feel special about doing. Heck, you're getting married, divorced, whatever. Just bring it onto the Hall of Fame. Well, we've got a space.
Is that
for
what
that.
you did?
Absolutely, that's where I did my divorce proceedings.
Hall of Fame divorce party.
But no, we're open to anything like that. We're part of the community, the racing community specifically, but we want to make racing accessible to everybody. And we're going to get our fair share of grandmas and grandpas and little kids that are going to come there for some of the special events we're going to have throughout the summer. We get some big stuff coming. It's going to be a friggin' blasty, and I'm looking forward to all that. So, folks, please use the Hall of Fame. Don't hesitate to call us. We're not an evil umpire. It just so happens there is some people behind the curtain a little bit that take care of some of the dirty work for us and go through and sift through all the people you'd like to see inducted.
Pay no attention.
Yeah, but they're a good group, and like I say, they do the dirty work that I really am not smart enough to do.
I just blanked out, lost it. There it goes. Oh, Hal, that gentleman that came up earlier was the one-armed late model driver from the late 70s. I don't know if that rings any bells. But
there was that. He's only got one arm. Shit, put him in, boys. Let's do it.
Well, that's worth something by itself.
A special wing where everything's left-handed. The Hall of Fame. Well, I don't know which arm.
It's like you don't know which arm was missing.
Well, I'm taking a guess here. I got a 50-50 shot. Maybe one of the folks on the message board there can straighten me out.
If you set up the wing and everything looks like the Willy Wonka office where it's half the statue and half the
one side.
No, that's terrible. That's
and Jay. The message board will take you to task.
All right,
they will hold you accountable.
I like that. Well, that's what we're pretty transparent, man. We got a Facebook that we let everybody else run it. If anybody's not on the Facebook yet, get on it. It's hard to believe there's 3,500 of you on there posting pictures and talking about your favorite drivers, number by number as we count this thing down. We're only 33 stinking days away from inducting an awesome class of people. McLaughlin and Cozy and Blackie Watt are going in this year. Not to mention some of the awards recipients this year. Are just the awards recipients. If you took the drivers out of this thing,
you still have a pretty good class of folks right
these
there.
people built the stinking sport. They built the sport. So the least we can do is put on an awesome show for them, invite as many fans as we can stuff into the parking lot and stuff into the Hall of Fame without trampling on cars and a deal like that. We're going to make sure we get as many people as we can to really send these people off the right way. There's so many great people, man. And we're blessed as hell to be able to induct them on June 4th.
You know who's built the sport? Late model drivers, just saying.
Hey, send them in. Send them in.
Write a letter, Chris.
Yeah,
write a letter, bro.
Now, I mean, I don't have to. I'm pretty sure that there's about 8 guys in the chat room that are going to take. You're going to get flooded.
Everybody write okay right now on the screen in front of this gentleman, so we know that you're sending your letters. I want to see him, man. I'm pumped up.
Is the ESS wing going to open up a bit of a ball of wax that everybody's going to want to have their own separate section over there?
Yeah, anybody can bring it. They can bring some money and some sponsorship right along with it. We'd love to have them. If we got to build out an annex on the place that's the size of a football field, we'll talk.
That's nothing but good.
That's right. My hope is that we can help grow the visitability of that entire area. Obviously, we got a racetrack behind us that's going to be operating at some point. Those guys are going to do things the right way. They ain't going to rush into nothing.
Yep.
But our job at this point is to...
As long as it's not going to be a Lowe's.
Yeah, amen. Amen. The worst thing that could happen is we've been operating as a Hall of Fame, as an organization, for how long now without a racetrack consistently running behind us? That should have been our death knell, but instead it's been a boom for us because we've had to realize, hey, this place needs to be open 364 other days a year. We need to make it a place that's a destination or more of a landmark than a mausoleum.
And it really is. I mean, I've been around racing since since I was a kid.
Yep.
And I've been in the Hall of Fame a handful of times, and every time I go in, it kind of kicks back. You walk into a certain section, and it kicks back memories that I would never have had recalled had I not walked in and seen that helmet or that that driver's suit with the name on the chest or the car sitting there itself.
Yeah, somebody stood in front of Johnny Botts' car for 25 minutes the last time I was there last Saturday. Stood there and just stared at it for 25 minutes, and then the guy gave me awesome stories for another 20 minutes of him remembering Botts, and I could tell you stories like that all the time. I'm lucky that I get to go there as often as I do.
And hopefully, folks will bring their kids.
Yeah.
Allow this to be as much of a fun time as it is an educational time for the kids, because that's where it starts again.
And that's something I want to work on. I want to make it a little bit more interactive. I mean, I've got a couple of midget cars. Hey, there you go. I got a couple of midget cars in there.
Hey.
The kids can sit in. I do have midgets in the Hall of Fame. We're accessible to everyone, folks.
There should be.
But there's a couple of midgets in there, and kids can go and sit in those. But I want there to be another element where kids can come in and you can watch movies. We got the Jack Burgess Media Room that's open to anybody to use, and they can go in there and flip through the old dirt track and magazines and 100 other different periodicals that we've got stacked up back there, and also watch a ton of the movies that we've got. We've got some really cool archive film. We're working on getting even more of that going on too, like old races from the Wheels and Weed Sport and all over the stinking place.
I'm assuming you've had a conversation with Bob Miller.
Oh yeah, Bob was. Yeah,
I've seen he's put that video of the old speedways out where anybody that's bitched about a track surface anytime in the last 20 years, shut up and watch the video.
Watch the video. Check out these.
They had plenty of cars, and they did not give a crap.
Yep, they had to spray paint the lines out, and after they did hot laps, you could tell where the track was because the grass got ripped up.
Yep.
I got a question for you, Jay.
Or the cornfield got flattened out.
How come the Hall of Fame doesn't have signs on the throughway? You know how you're approaching an exit like that last mile, and there's signs of what's coming, what's off the exit, like the Boxing Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
And so forth.
That's something that's a great idea, and it's something it's not uncharted territory, but we got to get some money together. We're not for profit at this point.
I think I heard Bombas offer to pay for it.
Yeah. We're always looking for a sponsor from Dick Dragon Motorsports. Dick Dragon Motorsports, proud sponsor of the sign on the throughway for the Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame, folks. Thank you, Dick Dragon.
Dick Dragon's going to sponsor the Fantasy Racing Hall of Fame.
So Dick will get back to you on that one.
I will pump up Dick Dragon like nobody's business. You give me a little loot to put a big old sign on the throughway, brother.
Stop.
Yeah, this is
no more.
Bad. How many times can you say Dick Dragon in 5 minutes? Go.
I'm done. I'm going to pump up Dick Dragon. We're done. There's
that
no
is
more.
That is not my Swedish Dick Dragon pump.
Oh, brother.
Oh, Lord. But hey, in all honesty, that's great input. And that's the stuff that we get from Facebook, and that's the stuff that we get from people like John and anybody. And we take on all comers, because if there's a way to market the crap out of the place, it's not going to cost me tons and tons of money because we ain't got any, let alone tons and tons. We're going to probably take advantage of that. And that sounds like a winner, bro.
When I was working with Raceway in Virginia, they had just recently gotten a highway sign up, and it took forever for them. There was so many logistics.
I don't even know how
there were
it works.
so many hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not something you say, hey, I want to put a sign up on the side of the road. It was a lot.
Well, something like that with the throughway, you'd have to call the state and all
Yeah.
that. I don't know how.
Nope. We're sending John Bombas with stickers.
And I don't even
I'll
know
just
how that
pull
works.
over on the side of the road. I'll stick one up tonight. You watch.
I don't even know how that works. If the state handles all that and they choose who goes up, or does the the promoter, or the building itself, whatever they're promoting on the sign?
The
does
president
that have to be? Do they have to pay for the sign? I don't know how that stuff
president
works.
of signs on the throughway is the one that has the final decision.
Yeah, it's
Department
got
of
something to do with the
Transportation,
state, and they're taking money
DOT.
for it. You can guarantee it.
State Thruway Authority or whatever the case might be.
Right.
We'll figure it out, man. I like the idea. It's a real good one.
But there should be, because there is for the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yep.
The New York State Thruway doesn't run anywhere near Cooperstown, but there's a Hall of Fame, baseball Hall of Fame sign on the New York State Thruway.
Yep.
And it's 40 minutes from the Hall of Fame, but it's
Hey, you know why
it
the Dirt
still lets
Motorsport-
people know it's there.
You know why the Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame is a better place to go than that stinking Boxing Hall of Fame? Not all our guys are punch drunk like down there. You can actually have a conversation with our guys still. Third round, I think.
You mean those aren't wax statues? Those are the real guys?
That's the actual guy, ladies and gentlemen.
Damn.
You mean they don't talk like this?
That was worth the price of admission right there.
Thanks for coming, John. I appreciate that. No, man, we've got a great group of guys.
I'm going to get you, sucker.
Think about a lot of the guys that have been recently inducted or were inducted in years past. Joe Plazik is still, man, I wish he was still racing.
I still want
You-
Canada.
He's not going to.
No, he's not
We've
going to.
asked
We
him.
went there.
You can't
But-
talk him out of it. Yeah, he's happy to
You can't talk him out of it, but man, I wish somebody had
His kids are doing the dirt bike thing, though.
Yeah, his kids are doing the dirt bike thing, and he's
And
enjoying.
he's loving it.
And he's enjoying every minute of it. But God, would I love to see him get back into a modified.
He's a guy
at
I've reached.
Syracuse.
He's a guy I've reached out to in the past, and he's willing to do anything I want.
Absolutely.
I've got a writer doing some work for us at the Hall of Fame, Nick Graziano. He's a senior over at Oswego State, and he's going to be doing a profile on Joe and a few of the other drivers. We want to do some build up to the Hall over the next 33 days and get those guys the notice they should. Our Hall of Famers don't just get inducted and then we forget about them. We're going to make sure that they're taken care of for years and years to come.
Speaking of Joe, one of the cars that was at Spring Explosion was towed in from Canada. For the whole team, all 4 cars came in from Canada, and one of them came in an enclosed cast car trailer.
Oh,
Get out of here.
Yeah, that was cool.
I used to love and be standing over in the grandstands at Canandaigua and just watch that hauler come down County Route 10.
Mm-hmm.
You knew it was on.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God, do I wish we could. There's got to be something that'll get that done.
I used to
I'd
love watching him try to lead the 100th lap every year at Syracuse and run out of gas and lose the race.
He was
Yeah,
using
that was always fun.
liters instead of gallons, apparently.
But he's doing the wrong. And I think he said that too.
Yeah. Yep.
But God, he's one guy I would love to see back in the cockpit again, turning the wheel.
I think the only way for that to happen is after his kids have kind of.
The only way it's going to happen is they
Moved
put him
on.
into a video game.
Yeah. You think he's done?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he told us, and I believe him.
He's done.
He's been away long enough now that he's
Yeah,
not.
you're right.
He doesn't even go to the races.
I mean, if
He
you
said
think
he
about
doesn't even
other than
go.
his kids.
think about
stuff.
all those guys that said that they were going to take a year off, and they never come back.
came back.
And he was a guy that told you, "I'm done."
Yep.
So,
Anybody
You know.
remember Kenny Stafford? Used to run the cow-looking cars.
Yep.
I actually worked with his sister in my day job, and he just got rid of the sport, kind of it put it in his rear view, and just kind of never looked back. Got like a job and a girl, and boom, done. And there was a kid who was like Rookie of the Year back in 06 or 07 on the Super Dirt Car
07, I
Series.
think.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kid who probably he stuck around with it a little bit.
He'd have had a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
There's a,
he was there.
Yep.
He needed to just make the name.
there's a ton
Yeah.
of people that have come and gone in the last, I don't know, however you go back 10, 20, 30 years, whatever.
Show.
I mean, there's tons of people that have come in for a couple of years, few years, whatever, make a little bit of a name and then disappear, and
They're all part of it.
they're all
And
gone.
speaking of guys coming back, Derek Excel won a street stock race at Canandaigua Motorsports Park last weekend. I believe that's his second one. And there was quite a large distance, like 20-plus years
Yeah.
in between his victories. So,
Yeah, no kidding.
if you talk about the guy that said he's done and he's just
Yeah, yeah.
gone.
Yep.
Well, here's another guy, Derek Excel. Now it's a street stock. He's been gone for decades, and
Yeah.
he comes back and
That's
just
so cool.
falls right into it. So,
So cool.
kind of nice to see.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
So,
Don't forget-
Thomas, why am I 85th in Dick Dragon Motorsports?
because you don't
I
know how
know,
to
is
pick
that where you are? I don't even know. I'm way down, too. Don't feel bad.
I don't.
I only got one team of my 3 teams that are on the left side of the page.
How did that happen? You run the thing.
He hasn't started
Give it
cheating
time,
points
dude.
yet.
Hasn't started rigging it.
If you ain't
started
cheating,
cheating
you ain't
points
trying.
Give it
Bombas.
time. Give it time, because it's going to change dramatically come once we get to the middle of May.
We started
Because
racing in Canada.
then the Canadian races fire. The Canadian
Mario
races
Claire
fire
can
up.
show up.
I actually
Yeah.
messaged Julia Foy about that, and said, one of the 358 drivers would be fun to have on the show would be Mario Claire, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't speak any English.
Whatever.
Even better. We don't speak in English either, apparently. For crying out
Steve
loud.
Poirier barely spoke English, and we got it done with him.
We a couple times. It was a great interview.
That was
Everybody,
awesome.
those are some of the most popular shows we've had.
The Canadian races fire off in 2 weekends from now.
And Jessica
Middle of
Power,
May.
but she speaks
Really,
just,
really
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
How do you say Dick Dragon Motorsports in French? How do you?
Oui.
Wee dragon, really?
That's what John's used to hearing.
Hey,
What are you doing?
as long as they smile.
Downhill fast.
Stripes almighty.
Somebody put the brakes on.
We were doing so good.
We were.
We were doing so good.
But yeah, just be patient. If you got one or two Canadian drivers on your team, be patient. It will pay off.
I've only got one.
In the long haul. We're only 23 races in out of like 230. So
Next year when I do
long
this,
way to go.
Next year when I do this, I'm picking Joe Plazak. I don't care if he gets me no points.
Go right ahead. I'll be
love
glad to give them to you.
Next week when you're not here and we pick drivers for the race on the upcoming weekend, I'll just write in Joe Plastic.
When
where,
in doubt.
where do we stand in that anyway?
I don't know.
Anybody
I owe somebody some beer.
Who did we pick the last time we picked?
I don't know. It's hidden.
I don't even remember what we picked.
It's hidden underneath that speaker up there. I'm
Did
pretty
we-
sure. I'm
was it
pretty
you?
sure. I'm pretty
What
sure
did we
I
pick?
won.
Utica Rome? I
Probably.
don't even remember.
I'm pretty sure I won. Yeah, I wasn't here,
yeah, I
but
did
I won
win.
too.
What did we pick? Was it Utica Rome?
Yeah, it was Utica. I don't remember.
I do recall
really don't
picking
remember.
Ryan Phelps for that show. So
You
I
weren't
had to-
even here,
right,
Yeah, you
but I was
weren't.
sitting at home picking Ryan Phelps. So
We didn't pick the.
Did you?
He didn't win till last week.
Did you pick for him?
No.
Did you pick?
I did. I picked like Willie Decker. Willie
Thanks,
is
buddy.
He's a
I don't
good
remember.
guy.
I don't remember
Willie.
who I
Great.
picked either.
It's still up here. It is. It's still up here.
Who'd I pick? Stewie?
I can't read my handwriting.
Oh boy.
It's still there, but we can't.
Oh, John
read it.
Bomas. John Bomas picked Stu. Mike picked Matt Shepard. I picked Mahaney, and Jay picked Jimmy Davis.
Ooh,
That's
Jimmy
right.
Davis.
You did pick Jimmy Davis.
And I'm
I
still
didn't.
taking Plazak.
And nobody picked Ronnie, and Ronnie won.
Yeah, that was an awesome
I can't
race.
believe you didn't pick Ronnie. Of all the times to not pick one of the.
Yeah, let me think. Utica Rome, Stewie or Ronnie?
Decker was still talking about that race Friday night when I saw him at Brewerton, how strong Ronnie Johnson was at Utica Rome.
He held him off.
Mind was officially blown on Billy Decker.
I mean, Billy got by him, and
Yep.
Ronnie repassed him.
Yeah.
like the half a lap later.
He said he thought Ronnie was kind of just chilling, kind of like running laps down, so to speak. He says I get up by him, and all of a sudden he woke the giant up, so to speak, and
Yep.
Ronnie was awful strong. Man.
Yeah, I saw the highlights, and he looked real good. Now, if he could just translate that into consistency there. His problem there is he'll win a race or two, but he's always very inconsistent there. He can't seem to be that strong every week.
Yep.
There's certain guys that are strong there every week. Stewie,
Yeah.
Varon historically has always been very good there week after week after week. Ronnie is he's not as consistently up front. He might finish in the top 10, but he's not contending for a win week in and week out.
Right.
And that's where he lacks.
Yep. Gotta like him though. That was an emotional win, man. It's cool
Oh.
to be in victory lane for a day like
I
that.
have to like him. He's my idol's kid. So
Yep.
Comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Jay, you coming back next week?
Sure, if you'll have me, I'd love to come back.
Are you going to be able to be here or no?
Should be.
I'll sit on
John will
somebody's
be-
lap.
John will be here.
You
Well,
can
we
sit
got-
on
yeah,
John's
we'll see.
lap. You guys can talk about Dick Dragon Fantasy.
Wow.
Modified league.
Okay.
Good golly.
Wow. Thanks for that.
Hey, we're gonna end this on a high
Yeah,
note.
that's
or
deep
a
and
low
insightful.
note.
Thanks a lot.
Port
Don't forget-
Royal Saturday, ARDC. Come on out.
Yep, and Black Rock Speedway opening up on Friday. Also, Oswego Speedway is going to be in action on
Don't
Saturday.
forget Fulton Speedway, Saturday opener, baby.
Busy weekend, and we'll see you right back here with all the results next week on the 31st lap.
Schlong.
www.fingerlakes1.com